4 years after Mitty Rivers vanished in the woods, and 3 years since Paula Weldon disappeared on a hiking trail, the Bennington Triangle was about to claim its third victim. James E. Tedford, a 68-year-old veteran, boarded a bus in St. Albans, Vermont, bound for Bennington. Witnesses saw him on the bus as it neared its final stop. But when the vehicle arrived in Bennington, Tedford was nowhere to be found. How could a man vanish from a moving bus? The Bennington Triangle mystery was about to deepen in ways no one could have imagined. The Bennington Triangle, a loosely defined area in southwestern Vermont, had already gained notoriety by 1949. The disappearances of Mitty Rivers in 1945 and Paula Weldon in 1946 had left the community on edge. Locals whispered about curses, while outsiders speculated about everything from serial killers to supernatural forces. As winter approached in 1949, few could have predicted that the area was about to add another baffling chapter to its dark lore. Tedford had served in the military, though details of his service remained scarce. Like many veterans of his era, he had struggled to readjust to civilian life and was living at the Bennington Soldiers' Home in Bennington. Despite his challenges, those who knew him described Tedford as a man of routine, unlikely to simply wander off or disappear by choice. In the days leading up to his disappearance, Tedford had traveled to St. Albans, Vermont, to visit family. It was a trip he had made many times before without incident, adding to the mystery of what was about to unfold. On December 1st, 1949, exactly 3 years to the day after Paula Weldon's disappearance, James Tedford began his journey back to Bennington. He boarded a bus in St. Albans, settling in for the long ride home. Witnesses later reported seeing Tedford on the bus at various points throughout the journey. He was observed reading a newspaper and seemed to be in good spirits. The bus made several stops along the way, but passengers and the driver alike would later testify that nothing seemed out of the ordinary. As the bus approached Bennington, making its second-to-last stop in Manchester, Tedford was still present. He was last seen on the bus as it departed Manchester for the final leg of its journey to Bennington. The bus arrived at its final destination in Bennington at around 6:10 p.m. on December 1st, 1949. As passengers began to disembark, a bizarre and unsettling reality set in. James Tedford was nowhere to be found. His belongings, a suitcase and a timetable, remained on the luggage rack above his seat. The newspaper he had been reading was still open on the seat, but Tedford himself had vanished without a trace. The bus driver and passengers were baffled. No one had seen Tedford leave the bus at any point during the journey. The stretch of road between Manchester and Bennington was straight, with no more stops, making it seemingly impossible for someone to depart. As word spread of Tedford's disappearance, the eerie coincidence was not lost on locals. Another person had vanished in the Bennington area on the exact same date as Paula Weldon, 3 years prior. The investigation into James Tedford's disappearance began immediately, but faced unique challenges from the start. Unlike the previous cases of Mitty Rivers and Paula Weldon, there was no specific outdoor location to search. Tedford had seemingly vanished into thin air while on a moving bus. Local police, aided by the recently formed Vermont State Police, launched a thorough investigation. They interviewed all passengers on the bus, the driver, and staff at every stop along the route. The bus itself was meticulously examined for any clues or evidence. Investigators retraced the bus route, searching for any signs that Tedford might have somehow exited the vehicle unnoticed. They explored the possibility that he might have fallen from the bus, but found no evidence to support this theory and would have been witnessed by other passengers or the driver. The Soldiers' Home where Tedford had been staying was searched, and his acquaintances were questioned. His family members in St. Albans were also interviewed, confirming that he had indeed boarded the bus as planned. Despite these extensive and thorough efforts, no trace of James Tedford was ever found. The investigation remained open but eventually went cold, joining the growing list of unsolved mysteries in the Bennington Triangle. The disappearance of James Tedford from a moving bus spawned a multitude of theories, each more perplexing than the last. Some speculated that Tedford had simply decided to start a new life, disembarking at a stop and slipping away unnoticed. However, this theory was largely discounted given Tedford's age, his routine nature, and the fact that his belongings were left behind. Others proposed more sinister explanations, suggesting foul play. But how could someone have been abducted from a bus full of witnesses without anyone noticing? The coincidence of the date, December 1st, the same as Paula Weldon's disappearance, led some to believe there was a connection between the cases. Theories of a serial killer operating in the area gained traction, despite the lack of physical evidence and the confines of the bus making this theory impossible. As with the previous disappearances, supernatural explanations began to circulate. Some spoke of alien abductions, while others suggested that the Bennington Triangle might be home to a portal or vortex to another parallel dimension that periodically swallowed unsuspecting victims. More grounded analysts pointed to the possibility of undiagnosed mental health issues, proposing that Tedford might have experienced a fugue state and wandered off during a stop, though this didn't explain how he left the bus unobserved. Despite years of speculation and amateur investigations, no theory has ever been able to fully explain the baffling circumstances of James Tedford's disappearance. The disappearance of James Tedford sent shockwaves through the Bennington area and beyond. Coming on the heels of the Midi Rivers and Paula Weldon cases, it cemented the region's reputation as a hotbed of mysterious vanishings. For the local community, Tedford's case was particularly unsettling. While the previous disappearances could be somewhat rationalized as the dangers of the wilderness, the idea that someone could vanish from a public bus shattered any remaining sense of security or logic. The case also drew national attention, bringing journalists, paranormal investigators, and curiosity seekers to Bennington. This influx had mixed effects on the local economy, bringing in tourism dollars but also unwanted attention and speculation. Law enforcement agencies faced public criticism for their inability to solve these cases. This pressure led to the further refinement of missing persons protocols and increased cooperation between different agencies. Decades later, Tedford's vanishing remains an unsettling chapter in Vermont's history, spoken of in the same breath as the other Bennington Triangle cases. It's a puzzle that continues to intrigue those captivated by the unexplained, leaving behind more questions than answers, and standing as a testament to the strange forces that have confounded both experts and locals alike. The vanishing of James Tedford added a new layer of mystery to the Bennington Triangle legend. But the story was far from over. Just months later, in October 1950, a new chapter would unfold. 8-year-old Paul Jepson would become the fourth person to disappear under bizarre circumstances in the area. His case would not only deepen the mystery, but also raise disturbing questions about the safety of the most vulnerable members of the community. Join us next time as we delve into the heartbreaking and perplexing disappearance of Paul Jepson and the panic that gripped Bennington as it faced the prospect of a child vanishing without a trace. Let me know your thoughts on what may have happened in the comments below.